I have kept this diary for 22 years. 22 years of arrivals. 22 years of departures. 22 years of watching people say hello and goodbye. Most people pass through a station and never think about it again. It is simply a place between places, a pause between chapters. But I live here, in a manner of speaking. I know every crack in these floors, every flicker of that light on platform 3 that maintenance has never quite fixed, every draft that comes through the east entrance in November. I know this station the way you know an old friend, completely, quietly, without needing to explain it. Which is why I noticed her. Most people, I see them and I know immediately. Commuter, tourist, someone coming home, someone leaving it. You develop an eye for it after 2 decades. But her, she didn't fit any category I had. Her name, I would later learn, was Margaret. She was perhaps 65, silver hair, always neat. A gray coat she wore regardless of the weather. Sensible shoes. She always carried a small thermos, and she always came alone. Every Sunday morning, 9:47, give or take 2 minutes. She would walk through the main entrance, past the ticket windows, past the morning commuters, past the coffee stand that always smelled of burnt milk, straight to the far corner of the waiting area, to the old payphone. The one nobody uses. The one I had put in a request to have removed 3 times. Paperwork kept getting lost. I'm glad it did. She would set her thermos on the little shelf beneath the phone, open her coat, take a breath. Then she would pick up the receiver, dial, and talk. Not loudly, not with tears, not with any of the drama you might expect from someone doing something so extraordinary. She spoke the way you speak to someone you've known for 40 years, comfortable, unhurried, like the conversation had simply continued from wherever it left off, for 11 minutes, every time, exactly 11 minutes. Then she would hang up, pour herself something from the thermos, sit for a while, and leave. The first Sunday I thought nothing of it. The second Sunday I noticed. The third Sunday I watched. By the fourth Sunday, I put the kettle on. Some invitations don't need words. When she finished her call and turned around, there were 2 cups on my desk, and I was looking the other way. She sat down. We didn't say anything for a while. It was, I think, the best cup of tea I've ever made.
I didn't ask right away. That's something you learned in this job. How to wait. How to let people come to the thing they need to say in their own time. We talked about small things that first Sunday. The weather, which in England is never truly small. The tea. She said I'd used too much milk, which was correct. The station. She said it hadn't changed much, which told me she'd been here before, a long time before. She came back the next Sunday, and the one after. By the 3rd week, she brought biscuits. By the 4th, she knew I took no sugar. We were in the way that strangers sometimes become, friends. It was the 6th Sunday when I finally asked. She had just come back from the phone, settled into the chair across from me, wrapped both hands around her cup the way she always did. And I said, "Margaret, who do you call?" She looked at the phone for a long time. Then she looked at me. "My husband," she said. "His name was Thomas. We were married for 38 years. He died 4 years ago. Heart attack. A Tuesday morning. He was making toast." She took a sip of tea and continued. "After he passed, I couldn't sleep. I would lie in bed and just Talked to him, the way I always had, about the day, about nothing. One night, about 3 months after, I picked up my phone. I don't know why. I dialed his number, and his voicemail answered. His voice, exactly as I remembered it. "You've reached Thomas. I can't come to the phone right now. Leave a message and I'll ring you back." I left a message. I told him about the garden. The roses he'd planted were coming up. I thought he'd want to know. I didn't say anything. What could I say? She continued. I called again the next week, and the next. After a while, it became Sunday. Just Sunday. I don't use my mobile for it. Feels wrong somehow. Thomas never trusted mobiles, said they were for people who couldn't commit to a conversation. So I come here, to the payphone, the way people used to, properly. I thought about Thomas that night, a man I'd never met, who didn't trust mobile phones, who made toast on Tuesday mornings, who planted roses, who was, by every measure, deeply loved. Over the following months, Margaret told me many things about Thomas, about their life, about the 38 years that now lived only in her. They had met at a train station, as it happened, not this one, a smaller one, up north. She had been 19, he had been 21, and already losing his hair. She said she fell in love with him because of his laugh. He laughed like he meant it, she told me, like nothing was embarrassing about finding something funny. They had 2 children, a son in Edinburgh, a daughter in New Zealand. Both busy, both kind, both far away. She told me once what she talked to Thomas about on the calls. She said, "I tell him the week, everything that happened, the good things first. He always liked to start with the good things, then the difficult things, because there are always difficult things, and I didn't want to carry them alone anymore. Then I ask him things, questions I never thought to ask when he was here. Silly things. What was your happiest day before you met me? What did you dream about when you were a boy? What were you afraid of that you never told me?" He can't answer, of course, but I think I know what he would say. After 38 years, I know what he would say. And sometimes, that's enough. Most times, actually. I have thought about that many times since. The questions we don't ask, not because we don't want to know, but because we assume there will always be time. There is not always time. Margaret also told me about the last morning, the Tuesday with the toast. She had been upstairs, getting dressed. She remembered she could hear him downstairs, the radio, the sound of the kettle, ordinary sounds, Tuesday sounds. She called down to him, asked if he wanted marmalade. He said yes. That was the last thing he ever said to her. I used to hate that, she told me, that his last word was something so small. I wanted it to be something meaningful, something I could hold on to. But then one day I realized, yes to marmalade, yes to breakfast, yes to another ordinary Tuesday with me. That was everything. That was always everything. I just didn't know it at the time. I wrote that down that evening, in this diary. Yes to marmalade. I look at it sometimes, when the days feel too small. Margaret came every Sunday for 2 years. 89 Sundays, I counted. In that time, the station changed around her. New signage, a coffee chain replaced the old sandwich stand. The departure boards went digital. Margaret did not change. Same coat, same thermos, same 11 minutes. Until one Sunday she didn't come. I noticed at 9:47, noticed again at 10. By 10:30, I had convinced myself she was simply unwell. People get colds. People oversleep. It didn't mean anything. I told myself that several times. She came back the following Sunday. Thinner, I thought, moving more carefully. She made her call, came and sat down. I didn't ask where she'd been. I just poured the tea. "I've been a bit poorly," she said. "Nothing dramatic.
Just the body reminding me it has opinions. She laughed at her own joke, the way Thomas used to laugh, I thought, like she meant it. Over the next month, she told me more than she perhaps intended. Her health was not good, had not been good for some time. Her daughter had offered to come back from New Zealand. Margaret had said no. I didn't argue. It wasn't my place, but I thought about it. One Sunday, late autumn, the light already failing by 4, she sat down and said nothing for a while. Then she said, "I think I've been talking to Thomas about the wrong things. All this time I've been telling him what's happening, the garden, the grandchildren, the weather. But what I actually need to tell him is, I'm frightened. I'm frightened and I miss him, and I don't know how to do this last part without him. We were supposed to do everything together. That was the arrangement. That was always the arrangement. He didn't keep his end." The absolute nerve of him. I didn't know what to say to that, so I said the only true thing I could. "I think you should tell him that on Sunday. All of it. Tell him you're frightened. He should know." She looked at me for a moment. Then she nodded. "Yes," she said. "Yes." The final chapter's melody is the most beautiful of all 5. Bittersweet, warm, like late afternoon light in winter, golden and cold at the same time. The payphone was removed on a Thursday in March. I watched them take it. 2 men in yellow vests. Took less than an hour. They left a pale rectangle on the wall where the paint hadn't faded, the shape of it still there. I thought about calling Margaret to warn her. I didn't have her number. She arrived that Sunday at 9:47, same as always, same coat, same thermos. She walked past the ticket windows, past the coffee stand, to the far corner and stopped. She stood there for a long time, looking at the wall, at the pale rectangle, at the place where it used to be. Then she reached out and touched it, ran her hand along the edge where the cord had been. I had come out from behind my desk, slowly. I didn't want to startle her. I was about to speak, to say I was sorry, that I should have found a way to tell her, but before I could, the final chapter's melody is the most beautiful of all 5. Bittersweet, warm, like late afternoon light in winter, golden and cold at the same time. The payphone was removed on a Thursday in March. I watched them take it. 2 men in yellow vests. Took less than an hour. They left a pale rectangle on the wall where the paint hadn't faded, the shape of it still there. I thought about calling Margaret to warn her. I didn't have her number. She arrived that Sunday at 9:47, same as always, same coat, same thermos. She walked past the ticket windows, past the coffee stand, to the far corner and stopped. She stood there for a long time, looking at the wall, at the pale rectangle, at the place where it used to be. Then she reached out and touched it, ran her hand along the edge where the cord had been. I had come out from behind my desk, slowly. I didn't want to startle her. I was about to speak, to say I was sorry, that I should have found a way to tell her, but before I could,